From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a huge Afternoons of LALATE with incredible details about your fourth stimulus check as the president signs into law a major ancillary legislation for the fourth stimulus package. The president wants you to have a fourth stimulus check, he says. The Democrats in the House and the Democrats in the Senate want you to have a fourth stimulus check. The reconciliation process has already begun. They're already marking up the legislation. The vote will be called by July 4th and we'll go over all the steps across the board. It's all incredibly great news to start this Friday afternoon. But just like 2020, there's a protagonista back in the mix. Who is this protagonista and why is she making the situation not particularly off the rails, but really murky? Murky with a lot of cloud of confusion that we're going to sort through. Bottom line is, it's much of nothing. It's much of nothing. Give her some bacon. In the second half of this video, we'll go over fifth stimulus and why the breaking news this Thursday suggested that the inflation rate this fall may be the highest of a generation and raise your benefits up the highest you've ever expected. It's all really incredible, great news. Then the middle of this video, we go over the incredible thousands of dollars that will land in your bank account. And finally, I'll be answering your questions you've been asking about fourth stimulus check over the last 24 hours on air. It's a big afternoon. It's a big, exciting day. I'm excited for you. Let's get to all the incredible details starting this afternoon, starting this moment, and starting right now on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Friday afternoon. Congratulations. You have made it to the weekend. I am very excited for you. I'm sure you're excited for yourself as well. Congratulations. This Friday afternoon has some beautiful weather across the country. Tell me where you're tuning in from, and if you're going to have great weather or hot weather, tell me where you're watching and where and how the weather is today. In this fourth stimulus check updated 2021, we're going to go over that monthly stimulus check, how much the Democrats in the House, how much the Democrats in the Senate, and how much the president wants you to give in this fourth stimulus check, a monthly stimulus check. Then the second half of this video, we go over fifth stimulus. That'll raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, veterans benefits, and all the benefits. And why? Why that Thursday economic number was incredibly great news for you because it signals your benefits could potentially be going to the moon. Then in the middle of this recording, we go over the big money that's landing across the board. And then finally, in the third part of this recording, we'll be going over the extended information you need to know about the fourth stimulus check, the new protagonista on the scene, and calling the vote and my personal answers to your questions about the fourth stimulus check. It's going to be extended broadcast, and I'm excited for you to join me. This is LALATE, the only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. I'm next taped with you with Evenings LALATE in 2 hours from now. That is going to be a blockbuster of a show. Do not miss that one. Boy, you're going to be surprised about the details of that broadcast. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check that the Democrats in the House, the Senate, and the President want to give you. Let's go over the calculations when we're looking at the Senate proposal versus the House proposal. Let's start first with the House bill. The House bill provides a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. That means that there would be a monthly check for the remainder of the pandemic and then every month thereafter for an entire year. The Senate proposal, on the other hand, provides a stimulus check between now and December, or more specifically, July to December. The monthly amount is $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter for the House bill. The Senate proposal, the monthly amount is unknown, but word on the street is this. Wow, incredible, great news. Yes, the Democratic senators reportedly want to give you $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. Yes, that is per individual. If you're watching the show just after 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Get ready to vote in the live chat where you are watching from, how the weather is, and if you like the Senate or the House. But let's go back to something we need to understand about the macroeconomic factors impacting the House bill. Many believe that the pandemic may be over by the time that the House votes on this. That would result in just 1 year of stimulus checks under the House bill. $13,000 over 12 months. Now let's compare that to the Senate proposal over 6 months. Oh boy, I think you have an opinion. I think you have an opinion. Vote House or Senate, which one you like, right now in the live chat. If you're watching later in the day, in the comments under the video, House or Senate, and where you're watching from, and also how the weather is. Let's go over what you need to know about that stimulus check. The Democrats want everyone who got a third stimulus check to get a fourth stimulus check. So if you're a single individual, Democrats would give you a stimulus check, fourth stimulus check, if you make less than $75,000. Married couple, double it, fourth stimulus check, double it for you. And if you're a household four or less, the Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. If you're on benefits, the Democrats would give you a fourth stimulus check, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits. The fourth stimulus check is not income, so it's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would not come in waves. It's a monthly stimulus check, so don't wave at it. Hi, check. No, it's not going to wave back at you. And then the fourth stimulus check is going to be given to people on benefits that the Democrats represent. That means that they want to give the fourth stimulus check to people on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, survivor benefits, and more. Congratulations. The fourth stimulus check the Democrats represent will be called for a vote no later than July 4th. That means that the Democrats would be giving you a fourth stimulus check in the month of July for the month of July, in the month of August for the month of August. And there you go. That is the first of three parts of your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today in this video. But I got another update for today coming up in a second with the breaking news from the president. Wow, it's wonderful news. Now let's get a preview of the second half of this video, which fifth stimulus got not one, not two, but three major surprises. One, that there would be a fifth stimulus check. I'll be explaining that because I've gotten some questions about that. Number two, that fifth stimulus would raise your benefits up under an SSI, SSDI reform that impacts everyone, including my veterans. Number three, that the inflation rate may be astronomically higher than we had ever thought before. This is wonderful for your fifth stimulus for your benefits lift. I'll explain the details. And finally, yeah, there's a lot of breaking news, isn't there? And finally, the President of the United States has now dedicated over $1 billion to the system to help you get money faster. I'll be having all those details for you in the second half of this video. Oh, it's an extended broadcast today on LALATE. We'll run about 35 minutes, so stay with me to the very end. And there's another reason to stay with me to the very end, because I have a lot of money for you. A lot of money for you. Thousands of dollars. If you're new to this channel, let me explain what I do on this channel. I give people money. I don't just report news. We don't track checks. I don't tolerate questions like, what day is a check going to land in my hand? No, I get you money, and I tell you how to get you money. Thousands of dollars. Because why? $5,000 is a lot more than a $1,400 stimulus check. And when third stimulus was passed, I told you there's $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 for nearly 85% of my viewers of this channel, and I want you to get it. We'll get it right now. Get that pen and paper ready, or Crayola crown. I'm not wearing Crayola blue today. Well, if you have purple Crayola, then get purple Crayola crown ready, because I have a lot of money to get you in this recording, and starting in just a second. Stay with me to the very end. $350 billion has now been allocated for you, coming from the federal government to you for rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and mortgage and homeowners utilities. It's $350 billion for you. Not all for you. What do you think this is? The Publishers Clearinghouse? No, you got to share. It's coming to your cities, counties, and state for you to share with me. And just don't share with anyone else, just you and me. No, just kidding. So go get that money. It's going to be a series of locations. You want to reach out to each location. Each location will have different eligibility. So if one says no, reach out to the next until you get that yes. They also have their own pot of money. Ready for those 6 locations? City Hall, City Housing Authority. County Hall, County Housing Authority. State Hall, State Housing Authority. The keywords you're going to use are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You're not going to say words that they don't understand, like stimulus and Sunday downturn of crypto. Sir, excuse me. This is not a crypto channel. This is the rent department. What are you asking me about crypto? So don't say words they don't understand, and don't mention Christmas Sinema either. So there you go. You got to say the correct words. And how much money is it? A lot. $5,000 for rent. 4 to 6 months of rent. Go get it. It's a lot. 5 to 6 months. About $5,000. 4 to 6 months of rent. Tim got it. Linda got some money for as well, rent and utilities. And it's your turn. But the next pot of money. It has been a big success story. It has been a big success story. If you've had any success story, if you've gotten $100 from this channel, or $10 from this channel, or $10,000 from this channel, trust me, I've gotten people anywhere from $15,000 of rent all the way up to $85,000 for EIDL. Just drop in the comments what you got, because it inspires other viewers to go get the money, and it inspires me. All right, this next pot of money, we got inspired on Monday, when one viewer jumped into Mornings LALATE and said she got $560 a month for this. That is upwards of $6,000 to $7,000 a year. Wow. What is it? It's Snap. It's Snap. What is Snap? How much do you get and how do you get it? Let's go over all the details. Snap is money for your food. Snap is money for your food. It's paid for. Department of Agriculture pays it out. How do you get it? Reach out to Department of Agriculture or call 211, get connected over for it. Lynn Glenn got for herself and her son and her mom. Gail got it as well. Your turn to get it today as well if you've not gotten it. How much can you get? A family of 4 in Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Where are these big numbers coming from? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Trump and one from Biden, that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. $16,000 for Snap for family of 4 in Hawaii, $5,000 for rent. We are killing it. And we are only 11 minutes into this video. Wow, we are running on time. So let's kick to the next item. One viewer got $5,000 from this. And what is it? It is money from your states. The federal government has identified states as overpaying you unemployment assistance during the last year due to computer error. Not your computer. Your computer doesn't make errors. Their computer. So the federal government has ordered the states to give that money back to you. Yes, states had asked you to return the money back to them, and you did. Well, the federal government said, no, use your money to keep. So the federal government has ordered the states to return the money back to you. Yes, one viewer got $5,000 for this. How are you going to get the money? Automatically to the account you have on file with your state's unemployment department. When? Reach out to your state for respective routing times. The next pot of money is wonderful. COD jumped into our overnight crypto show, which has been a massive hit. It runs 15 hours. It's live chat. People are in there just having fun, spending a Friday afternoon chatting with each other. And he wanted you to know he got this money. That's a true spirit of this purple power, people helping each other. What did he get? He got this money back from IRS. Now, nearly a half a dozen viewers have gotten it, and more continue to get it. If you got it as well, drop in the comments. What is it? It's the money you got back from IRS for that taxes on the unemployment assistance. How much is it? When you get it? How do you track it? Let me go over all the details. First, let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment assistance last year, and you paid $5,000 to IRS total on that tax bill, of which $4,000 was your taxes on the unemployment assistance. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000 from IRS. Next, when? In the month of June. How? COD got it by direct deposit because he had that on his 2020 tax return. But everyone else in the mailbox, watch for that envelope. Razor thin, don't throw it away. Finally, can you track it? Yes, 75%, 70% of the time it works. Go to irs.gov, sign in, set up a username and password, and go in there and check your name and social security number. It generally, 70% of the time, works and shows the tax return you filed. It shows the taxes you paid, and it shows the refund that's coming to you. Oh boy, that is good news. Do we got better news? We do. We're cutting now back to the second of 3 parts of that 4 stimulus check updated 2021 today in this video, and it goes over to Europe. As the President of the United States today signed into law a raise of the global minimum corporate tax rate, which anchors for stimulus to the finish line. This is huge. This is not the actual 4 stimulus bill. Obviously, he signed it with people overseas. It is an ancillary bill that yanks it over the finish line. I'll be going over that major deal that he has specifically said was important for passing 4 stimulus in just a second. But I'll also go over first where we are. Step 1. For item number one is we're currently in reconciliation. Number two, they're currently marking up the bill. We have learned this week that the House members are currently marking up the bill. That means they're currently making marks to the draft of the bill with pen and paper. That's the expression, marking up the bill. Wonderful news. Number three, the president has been asked and said he's fine with a stimulus check. Of course he is. He's not going to veto your stimulus check. The House Democrats say they want to put and will be putting in monthly stimulus checks in there for you. Wow. The Senate Democrats say they're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks in there. Wow. The broadcast media, the print media, and myself have been talking nonstop about the fourth stimulus check with you. Wow. And so who are the only people not talking about fourth stimulus check? The GOP. The GOP and very conservative slanted broadcast media. They don't want you to know about stimulus check because they're not giving you the stimulus check. Now, here is what you need to know is that all the way up to yesterday, there wasn't a hint of any dissension whatsoever from the Democratic caucus. And as we go into the weekend, all Democratic caucus members have indicated that they're voting in favor of the fourth stimulus. But, and it's not even a but, however, there is a protagonista on the scene, and I'll be going over her in a second. Translation before I get to the conclusion, or actually conclusion before I get to the translation. The protagonista is much of nothing. The protagonista is grandstanding for personal publicity, and it has nothing to do with the passage of your fourth stimulus. There you go. So now let's go back over how we got to right to that breaking news and all the developing details, and I'll be answering some of the questions you've asked as well about this fourth stimulus check. Number one, over a week ago, the Friday before Memorial Day weekend, Leader Schumer confirmed not one, but three of the breaking news that I had been reporting on this channel for over a month, which was number one, the reconciliation process for the fourth stimulus checks is currently underway. Number two, the reconciliation process will be done for the fourth stimulus package by July 4th as the final vote, and it will be passed, he said very clearly. And number three, the reconciliation process will not be held up due to any bipartisan negotiations if they happen or don't happen. Let me stop and pause and address that subject matter right first. The bipartisan negotiations with the president and Shelley Moore Capito, who was designated on behalf of the GOPs, ended this week after the talks fell apart. After the president left U.S. shores, a series of people who do not represent the GOP and do not represent the Democrats, but represent the opportunity, but do potentially are represented by book agents to get themselves a book deal. I'm not being facetious, I'm being literal. Started to talk about that they're negotiating. Let's understand, they're negotiating in a vacuum. If you were with me in 2020, the problem creators, which they like to call themselves the problem solvers, I often call problem creators, because they said as though they were trying to do negotiations. Famously, there were two moments in which they tried to show up at the Temple of Doom's door and she wouldn't let them in, saying, you don't represent the Democrats and you certainly don't represent the Republicans. I'm not even talking to you. And ironically, she was right at the time. They didn't represent Mitch and they didn't represent Nancy. What did they represent? Trying to get her reelected. And some of those members did not get reelected. So it was all about their particular agenda. So let's go back to what happened with Chuck with that reconciliation breaking news a week ago. Well, it was anchored by an incredible, wonderful letter from Jalopal. Jalopal wrote Schumer a letter saying, call the vote on the recon. Now, what's wonderful news about that Jalopal letter was that it was co-signed by about a dozen House Democrats who said, we're going to put that fourth stimulus check into the fourth stimulus package. They are among the 100+ House Democrats who had signed a letter a week earlier telling the president, we're going to put multiple stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Oh my goodness, now that's wonderful news. Can we top that? We can. When about a week ago, about the same day that Schumer had that announcement, 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter and saying, we are going to be putting monthly stimulus checks into the fourth stimulus package. Oh my goodness. Well, who are these people to say that? They are on the House subcommittee that is solely and exclusively responsible for writing stimulus checks in the United States. Did they write the first? They did. Did they write the second stimulus check? They did. Did they write the third stimulus check? Yes, they did. And so now they're saying they're writing the fourth stimulus check? Yes, they are. This is absolutely wonderful news. Can we get better than that? Yes, we can. They also send the letter that they will be putting a fifth stimulus check in there as well. Now, here is why people have been asking me, why would there be a fifth stimulus check? It seems like it overlaps with the fourth. It's a great question. Understand fifth stimulus, they talk about starting fifth stimulus in September, finishing it in October. But it's very possible that they don't think that fifth stimulus may get finished until, let's say, November. Yeah, now you're seeing how this makes sense. So let's say fifth stimulus finishes in November, then the fifth stimulus check could potentially go out in January 2022, which is when the fourth stimulus checks are about to end. Yeah, so they potentially do not overlap. Fifth stimulus could potentially start sending money out in December of this year, January of next year. So that's why they're talking about another round of fifth stimulus checks in this letter to the president. Wonderful news. Can it get better than that? It does. This week, broadcast media has talked about this letter about as often as they can. They talked about it, and they asked the president, do you like it? And he said, yeah, I like it. Of course he likes it. He's not going to veto something like that. And there you go. The president likes the monthly stimulus checks. The House and the Senate likes the monthly stimulus checks. Then can we get better than that? We can. The president today signed into law oversees an ancillary legislation which pulls fourth stimulus over the finish line. Let me go over what that means and how it works. It started with something I've been telling you over almost 3 weeks ago that I said there was something that happened on Tuesday that was confusing. Let's go back to that Tuesday and go over what was so confusing that I tried to make simple for you. Fourth stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate. And as soon as the president announced it, he said he was concerned that by doing that, some U.S. businesses may leave U.S. soils and move business operations overseas. So his concern was that a corporate tax rate in another country, let's say France, may be lower than the United States, and the business may try to find a lower corporate tax rate, called the race to the bottom. So what did he do? He reached out to the G7 countries, which are the six other countries that lead in economic prosperity, and said, would you agree to a higher global minimum corporate tax rate? And they did, tentatively. To which the president that Tuesday reached out to his staffers and said, well, after fourth stimulus is passed in August or September, I'm going to try to get those G7 countries to sign into law that global minimum corporate tax rate of 15%. And that way, we'll be able to drop the U.S. corporate tax rate lower. Multiple stimulus checks and then a corporate tax rate close to where we are now? Yes. So how did we get to today? Last Friday, a week ago today, I said, I heard in a small press clipping an article that the president may be meeting with the G7 countries this coming Saturday, tomorrow. And I said, why is he meeting with them on a Saturday? I said, stay with me from morning to LA this Saturday because I sense something's about to happen. And it happened. Live on the air, a week ago tomorrow, I told you that the president had made an agreement with the G7 countries to raise the global minimum corporate tax rate to 15% and was going to sign into the law in person today. And he did. Before fourth stimulus. Not in August, not in September, but before fourth stimulus, to in essence pull fourth stimulus over the finish line, to give fourth stimulus the incredible anchor it needs to get to finish line for preparation. It is wonderful, wonderful news. I am really, really excited, and I was shocked when I first reported this to you on Saturday, but today it became a reality. Wow. That brings me now to the protagonista. We have seen a lot of protagonistas on this channel over the last year, and we've known them by hand. Well, we have a new protagonista, and that new protagonista is Kristen Sinema. What she has done is really ridiculous, and ultimately, every time that I refer to what she does, I have to watch my words, because trust me, I'd like to say something else about it. But here's what you need to know. It's much of nothing. It's much of nothing. The president wants to give you stimulus checks. The House members, which are hundreds of them, want you to have a stimulus check. And the House Senate and the Senate Democrats want you to have a stimulus check. But what did she do? After the negotiations between the president and Shelley Moore Capito, who's a Republican, fell apart, the president got on the plane and traveled overseas to sign this fourth stimulus package. And what did this protagonista do? She reached out to a series of retiring, quitting Republicans who are leaving political service to have them to negotiate with her, I'm putting that in quotes, about the fourth stimulus package. Now, first of all, these quitting GOP members don't represent Mitch or the GOP leadership. And she doesn't represent the Democratic leadership. In fact, the Democratic leadership is shocked and horrified that she's even doing this. She doesn't represent anyone, and the people she's meeting with doesn't represent anyone. To make it even more absurd is that quickly, somewhere in this scope of this chatter, I don't even want to call it negotiations. I don't even like referring to it as negotiations. She had her operatives try to send out press clippings or pressers that basically said, we have a tentative agreement. Ironically, for the first time ever, you had bipartisan agreement about one thing. The GOP and the Democrats both came out and said, she has no agreement. So they agreed to say she has no idea what she's talking about. The head of the GOP said, no, Ms. Kristen Sinema has not gotten an agreement from the GOP. And then the Democrats came out and said, she's not gotten an agreement from the GOP. What is she doing? What she's doing is grandstanding. It's called political grandstanding, where one politician is trying to advance their political future, whether it's a book deal for themselves financially or trying to advance their political agenda. And we've seen that a lot over the last year. And we certainly saw a whole group of people who did nothing for anyone in 2020, the problem creators, back on hand this week, trying to say that they are negotiating for someone. They didn't negotiate for anyone for last year, and they're certainly not negotiating for anyone this year. How much did the problem creators get done last year? Zero. How many times did they have press appearances on broadcast media with beautiful backdrops? Hundreds of times, thousands of times. So this is a lot of political grandstanding, publicity for publicity's purposes. Takeaway, this Joe Manchin is not part of any of this, wants to have nothing to do with this. He has his own inner group of people. The Republican leadership wants nothing to do with it. The Democratic leadership wants nothing to do with it. Does it derail anything for forced stimulus? No. Does it make the coverage of forced stimulus look murky? Yes, because ultimately she's trying to filter out false news about potential deals that aren't deals. And ultimately, whenever you have incorrect news out there, it just always makes it confusing. Here's the takeaway. Forced stimulus is currently being marked up. Forced stimulus is currently being set for a vote. The Democratic leadership is on hand and completely cohesive and aligned to pass the forced stimulus. And what she's trying to do is a lot of publicity in the absence of the president on U.S. soils. That's basically all you can leave it with. But guess what? I got more coming up in the second half of this video. I told you to extend the broadcast. Coming up in the second half of this video, I have incredible news about what's going on with fifth stimulus. Why that number for your benefits may be insanely higher than we ever thought before. It's wonderful. And it happened yesterday. And then we'll be going over the breaking news about new dedication of funds to beneficiaries administration. And then we'll be cutting back to forced stimulus with more details about what's going on with that forced stimulus check. Told you there's a lot in this broadcast. Stay with me. I'll be back in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LA with more exciting details about why fifth stimulus will have another stimulus check, why fifth stimulus will have an incredible raising of beneficiaries' benefits numbers, higher than we initially anticipated, and more exciting details about that fourth stimulus check, which you're going to hear for the first time on Afternoons LA. How are you? This is LALATE, your 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel. Live on air in the morning, taped in the afternoons. I'm next back with you with Evenings LA. That's going to be a huge broadcast, so do not miss that one coming up after this. Then we go into Overnight's Crypto, Evenings Crypto, and Overnight's LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. 1 year, 400,000 subscribers. Next stop, 1 million. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video. 2,000 to 3,000 likes. Every like helps. Don't forget to hit that like button right now and consider becoming a member. Let's go right into fifth stimulus. And there's a lot of breaking news about fifth stimulus. I want to go over everything as quickly as I can because, boy, there is a lot. Number one, the president surprised everyone with a very wonderful item this week. He announced that he is dedicated in his federal budget bill, which is a whole other bill, which I'm not going to cover on this channel, that he's going to give $1 billion to the Social Security Administration organization to ensure that beneficiaries' benefits are paid faster, timelier, and easier. It is not more money for you, but it is to insist that the system operates smoother. If you were with me in third stimulus earlier this year, you saw how people on benefits were getting their stimulus checks late. We were tracking Direct Express card and all that stuff with the waves. He wants to get rid of that. Thank goodness. Just in time for that monthly fourth stimulus check and just in time for fifth stimulus. Remember, you get both of these things if you're on benefits. Second, we also learned this week that a massive number was released that shocked everyone. Yesterday, the Consumer Price Index number was released. What's a Consumer Price Index number? It is a number that looks at how much the prices of certain items like food, groceries, cars, and energy like gasoline is going up. And it looks at the number on a monthly basis. It was the May number. Pretty easy? Yeah. So what happened with that number? It came in yesterday at the highest year-to-date growth of nearly 30 years. This is huge. It showed that inflation could be spiraling very, very high very quickly. In fact, the last time we saw this number grow this high in 30 years was right before the Great Recession. Now, this is great news for you because it's basically saying that the inflation rate in December could be its highest of a generation. But here's what I also need to explain to you. They think that this inflation rate will go up very quickly and then come back down to a normal place, meaning it will be temporary or what they call transitory. What you need to know is you want that number through the roof in December. And let's go over the benefits. Fifth stimulus heats up by applying a new benchmark, and that benchmark is inflation. That's why I wanted to go over that with you just then. They're going to first raise up your benefit limits. Then they're going to remove the asset limits, add an inflationary benchmark. There you go. And then they're going to remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. Let's go over now how this works in view of what I just said. First, they're going to raise your benefits up. Who's you? You. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veteran benefits, survivor benefits, your benefits are going to be raised up one big time. Then they're going to apply the benchmark. How do they apply this benchmark of inflation? In December, they look at the inflation rate and they raise it up based upon that rate. Let's say the inflation rate is 6%. So that means first they'll raise up your benefits under fifth stimulus one time. And then in December, they'll apply the benchmark. Inflation, let's say 6%. So that would step you up 6%, but not just for next year, lifetime. Because once you step up, your benefits never step down. So the inflation rate the year after this is 0%, then you would be still at plus 6% lifetime. Let's go back with what I just said a second before. They now think that that inflation rate may not be something like 6%, but astronomically high, double digits in December. You want that because you want that step up, because once you step up, you never step down. So let's say inflation was 15% in December, but suddenly drops back down to 2% next year. That's fine, so long as you get that massive high inflationary number right when they're applying your benefits, and then you're set lifetime. It's wonderful news. Then after that, they're going to remove the asset cap. It's dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 on hand. It's going to go away, so you'll be able to have more than $3,000 on hand just in time to get those stimulus checks in your hand. They're going to remove the income cap that's dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. It's going to go away. And finally, they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interests like Rob and Sandy, viewers of this channel. You will no longer fear the marriage penalty or losing benefits, and if you are married, you will no longer be penalized. Now, there's a lot of other stuff in fifth stimulus, in fourth stimulus, and in third stimulus that I can't cover in a 30-minute, let alone a 40-minute video, and it's important to consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Every day, members are sent from me via the community page a link of what is in the fourth, fifth, and third stimulus. On the community page of YouTube, I send to you daily a breakdown of everything that's in the fifth stimulus, everything that's in the fourth stimulus, and everything that's in the third stimulus. Because a lot of this is application-based, and you don't know it's for you until you get it. We need to stop thinking about just stimulus checks and also think about the thousands of other dollars, like that viewer on Mornings LA who got that $6,000, $7,000 for her family because she was watching these videos. That is the value of considering a membership. The link is in the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. All right, now let's go back to fourth stimulus and the other final things that you need to know about fourth stimulus going into Evenings LA coming up next in 2 hours from now. That's going to be a big broadcast. First, the reconciliation process is already underway. They're currently marking up the bill. Number two, the reconciliation process will end July 4th. Number three, the Senate Democrats and the House Democrats and the president want you to have a monthly stimulus check. Number five, did I say four? I don't know. I'm losing track. Number five, the negotiations that may or may occur on the sideline will not derail anything for the reconciliation process. Number six, the reconciliation process has full alignment of the Democratic leadership. Number seven, one thing I haven't said in a couple days because I really don't like covering it too much because it's boring, is that Leader Schumer has enough reconciliations to cover him for this spring and this fall. What happened earlier this last week had to concern doing a redo of a previous reconciliation. He still has enough recons left for fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus. Finally, viewers have been asking me a series of questions. One of the questions I got, which is a great one, I see it a few times, is when do we see the number from the senators? Well, it's important to understand that the senators make their mark on the situation during the two-day vote-a-rama. That is when you would see it, the final 2 days. But it's also important to understand that when people are marking up a bill on the House level, they could be modifying a number at a second. More about that in a second. Let's go over the 12 steps to get the bill to the final finish line. There's 12 voting steps. Did I say 12? 9 voting steps. The first half are procedural, the second half are substantive. They're required by the Constitution, and they need to do that to get the recon to the finish line. Step 1, they call the vote for the procedural bill in the House subcommittee. Step 2, they call the vote for the procedural bill on the House floor. Step 3, the Senate votes on the procedural bill. Step 4, the President signs the procedural bill into law. At that point, the procedural bill has passed into law. The tow truck is finished over the finish line. Time to go get that tow hitch, the substantive bill. Step 5, the House subcommittee votes and writes and votes on the substantive bill. That's what they're doing right now. And they can put the monthly stimulus checks in there, or they can leave them out. Step 6, the House floor votes on the substantive bill. Step 7 and 8, the vote-a-rama, which I referred to just a second ago. At that point, the senators receive whatever the House has passed. If there are stimulus checks in there, the senators can take them out, or they can grow them and make them bigger, or they can modify the amount. They can amend. If there are no stimulus checks in there, the senators can add them in there. They can make amendments across the board. That is step 7 and 8. And step 9, the president signs it into law. Which brings me to my final messages for you and my personal messages for you as well. I've seen some people who have sort of accepted the notion of hearing something and accepting everything is fine, or not hearing something and accepting that the situation is not fine. Here's what you need to know. This is legislation. This is legislating. And that even hearing something is not fine. Here's an example. I see sometimes people on social media saying, I heard them talk about, I'm really happy. No. On the other hand, I've heard people say, I haven't heard them talking, I'm very unhappy. No. Here's what you need to know. Just because someone has a proposed legislation, just because someone has a proposal to become legislation, or just because someone is proposing to potentially write something as legislation, is not reason for you to sit back and feel happy or not happy, because you have to push. I've seen some people seem to think that things just easily breezily pass without any amendment. Legislators legislate. So here's an example. Let's say the House members put in monthly stimulus checks in the House subcommittee and then call it for a vote on the House floor. The House floor could modify it right away. So you should not sit back and say, I'm totally happy. The House subcommittee put the stimulus checks in. I'm totally fine. No, you need to push because the House floor could modify something. But let's say the House floor doesn't modify something and it goes over to the senators. The senators could modify it as well. So you can't assume any step is always wrapped up in a bow or not wrapped in a bow. Remember, legislators have passed laws and they have not been sending out the money from the laws. They have proposed bills and never called it to a vote for law. They have proposed proposals and have never reduced the proposal to an actual writing of a bill. So you need to push. You can never assume something or never assume against something. You have to wait until the time is right to push, and that time is now. Do not wait after the fact, because at that point it'll be too late. Take these videos on social media and hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Tag your elected officials on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, and say hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Call them up. Tell them to ensure that they put those monthly stimulus checks in there, because you can't take anything for granted for elected officials. It's important that you know that you should not sit back and assume the situation. I've seen some people on social media who have been doing a good job. You need to do a lot more. You need to do a lot more. And I don't wish to see any more comments where people say, I really hope it happens. And I'm crossing my fingers. Uncross those fingers. Go on social media and push, because you have to push. This is your money and this is your opportunity. And with that, we'll have more exciting details about what's happening for fourth stimulus and fifth stimulus coming up on Evenings LALATE. So I hope you join me on that big broadcast. But meantime, subscribe. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Remember to push. Do never take anything for granted. Stay informed, stay focused, stay motivated, stay positive, and stay with LALATE for more.